Hey guys, I'm a big historical weapons buff and I love swords the most. Whenever I go to a museum, I always like to go to the section with the ancient weapons. I mean, it's insane how well crafted some of these weapons were even in today's standards. For example, swords were found in the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, that were still so sharp it could slice through stacks of paper like butter. And throughout history, there are some swords who are so famous their name and stories have been passed down for generations, and they may even contain mystical powers. Here's a look at some of them. Number 1. The Sword in the Stone. This is perhaps the most famous sword in the world, and while some say that the Arthurian legend is mostly a product of folklore and myth, there is evidence that its sword in the stone tale might be very real. In a chapel in Monte Siepi, Italy, lies an ancient sword embedded in stone that could be the key to deciphering the origin of the legend. It is believed that Saint Galliano was a 12th century Tuscan knight who Archangel Michael commanded to give up his sinful ways. Arguing that the task would be as difficult as cleaving stone, Galliano attempted to prove his point by breaking his sword on a nearby rock. Legend says his blade cut into the stone as if it were butter. The sword in the stone still rests where Galliano left it behind. The legend of Excalibur predates Galliano, but the addition of the sword in the stone arose shortly after Galliano's time. It's theorized that his sword was the true life inspiration for King Arthur's sword in the stone. Of course, that all depends on the sword's legitimacy. Whether or not the sword in Italy belonged to Galliano has been called into question numerous times. Number 2. The Kusanagi. According to legend, the sword in the snake Kusanagi was found in the body of an 8-headed serpent killed by the god of storms and seas. It's one of the icons of the ancient imperial family's descent from the sun goddess, the symbols of their divine right to rule. The Kusanagi is said to be housed in the Atsuta Shrine in Nagano Prefecture, though it isn't on public display and haven't been seen in centuries. Number 3. The Cursed Muramasa. Muramasa was an ancient Japanese swordsmith who, according to legend, prayed that his swords would be great destroyers. Because of the exceptional quality of his blades, the gods granted his request and infused the blades with a bloodthirsty spirit that, if not satisfied with battle, would drive the wielder to commit murder or suicide. There are countless stories of Muramasa's owners going mad or being murdered themselves. The swords were believed to be cursed and were banned by Shogun Tokugawa, who condemned the swords after they killed nearly all his family. Number 4. Joyous. Joyous was King Charlemagne's legendary sword and was said to change colors 30 times every day, and it was so bright it outshined the sun. Since as early as 1271, 2 swords called Joyeuse have been part of French coronation ceremonies. But since both swords can't be the famed Joyeuse, the mystery of which one is the true sword of the Holy Roman Emperor has lingered for centuries. The Joyeuse residing in the Louvre have suffered heavy modification over its considerable lifetime. The other contender is the saber of Charlemagne, housed in the imperial treasury in Vienna. The saber is dated to the early 10th century, closer than the Joyeuse, but still just after the time of Charlemagne's legendary sword. Number 5. St. Peter's sword. There are several legends about the sword used by St. Peter when he cut off the ear of the servant to the high priest in the Garden of Gethsemane. English lore has it brought to England by Joseph of Arimathea along with the Holy Grail. In 968, however, a sword was brought to Poland by Bishop Jordan, a sword which he claimed was the actual sword of St. Peter. The bishop's sword, considered a true relic, remained in Poland and was eventually moved to the Archdiocese Museum in Poznan. Number 6. The Wallace sword. Legend has it that William Wallace used human skin for his sword scabbard, hilt, and belt. The skin was said to be from Hugh de Cressingham, treasurer of Scotland, whom Wallace had flayed after defeating him in the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Number 7. The sword of Goujian. In 1965, a remarkable sword was found in a damp tomb in China. Despite being over 2,000 years old, there wasn't a spot of rust on the thing. The blade was so untouched by time, it even drew blood when one archaeologist tested its edge on his finger. Why this guy used his finger instead of a piece of paper? No clue. The craftsmanship of the etchings was also unbelievably detailed for a sword forged so long ago. It was, for the time, a complete mystery. Further study of the etchings concluded that it was a sword belonging to the Yue king, Goujian, Jian, and is believed to be the legendary blade mentioned in the lost history of Yue. According to ancient books, when King Gojian had his sword collection appraised, there was only one single sword of merit. This sword was so magnificent it was said to have been made with the combined efforts of both heaven and earth. Speaking of Chinese swords, a few years ago I actually had the pleasure to meet the famous sword maker who made the sword for the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And he's probably the most famous sword maker in China. He told me that when his swords are sharpened to its limit, you can actually take a hair and just drop it on the blade and the hair would just split in half. There are also legends of Chinese swords that are so sharp that when it cuts into you, blood would not even spill out of your body. I mean, I don't know how that would really work. Maybe it's like an ancient lightsaber. Anyway, as much as I loved swords, I never really wanted to own a really sharp sword because knowing me, and even though I'm an awesome swordsman because I spent years upon years watching every single ninja movie known to man, I would probably accidentally cut off my own arm or something. Alright guys, let me know in the comments below your favorite ninja movie or any other movie with a lot of sword play. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.